No better session to end than cloud, because normally it gets the heartbeat raising. I've been waiting for it for the last 4 hours, so I can understand that all of you would be stressed as well. I've been to the IMC before, but truly it is a historic day today with the launch of the 5G services that our Prime Minister did, and probably the best backdrop to talk about cloud driving the next generation operating model. Now, my apologies to the panelists, because I'll take a few minutes just setting the context, and I'm sure they can build on the questions and discuss the topic in depth. Now, we today live in an era of disruption. The pandemic, and all of you probably in this room have went through it. It fundamentally changed the way we looked at life. Post-pandemic, it lingers on. We have two big seismic shifts as far as technology is concerned. One is cloud and its prominence, and the next is 5G, for which we were all gathered here today. But from a telco standpoint, industries globally are getting reinvented, and none more so than the communication services industry. And the reason I say so is, if you look at the the consumer today, it's it's a very different than what it was. I mean, they had 3 decades of connectivity. Today, the way they look at work, the way they look at their home, entertainment, all of it, the lines are blurring. If you look at social factors, which is your lifestyle, your health, your privacy issues, all of it is fundamentally different than what it was 3-4 years back. So if today you're a telco, the propositions that you're looking at to address the consumers are tremendously different, and you've got examples out there in the hall. The second, a lot of today's exhibits today was about changing the industries, getting into industries that telcos traditionally haven't catered to, which is really the B2B segment. And trust me, they're going through a huge disruption themselves. The benchmark for productivity for any industry is significantly different than what it was many years back. They are dealing with the impact of climate change. Many parts of the world, they have huge pressure on localization. And with a compressed GDP, they're all searching for new sources of revenue. So given these two fundamental blocks of revenue streams, we believe that it is important that telcos start thinking about being tech companies. I know many of you in the room probably who represent the telco companies probably think they're already on the journey, but we truly believe that they need to think like tech companies. And that really means that network is an extension of the cloud, and edge is the control point. It means with software-defined anything, you have a vast opportunity today to really unlock partnerships, come up with new propositions of the ecosystems. So old siloed operating models and legacy product development probably doesn't really work. And it's well understood that the connectivity market has actually matured, and there's a tremendous amount of opportunity in the new revenue streams that telcos want to generate. But if you look at the telco cloud as being the operating model, let's look at industry research in terms of what are the challenges and opportunities. First, by far, most CXOs believe that, almost 70% of them believe that today the legacy is the real stumbling block. You also have a decrease in the voice revenue, but I think the most critical part is the part on capital efficiency. Telcos from 2020, by all research, to 25 would spend almost $1 trillion in terms of capital expenditure. That's a whole lot of money. But the key is going to be, how do you spend this efficiently? So while I was looking at all the exhibits, all of it is not possible. You need to probably make choices in terms of some service line that you will specialize in, then like manufacturing, or probably going to go after regions or demographics which have not been served before. Now, without a doubt, even if these challenges and opportunity exist, and I really look forward to the panel answering this in more detail, there isn't any doubt of the prize in hand. The figures may differ, but we stand at the cusp of a massive opportunity to address. So if you look at this notion that between the B2B and the B2C, you have a tremendous amount of opportunity to unlock value and new revenue streams. It is to be understood that the customer expectations are going to be dramatically different. They're going to seek unique product propositions. They're going to have differentiated pricing models. Their expectation of customer intimacy, which is latency, or it is scalability or reliability, is going to be entirely different. Now, these are the inputs into when we discuss the operating model. If you're going to address that with speed and agility, then you really need a new operating model, right? And as we talk about operating model in any industry, there are really three fundamental building blocks. One is, obviously, you have to reimagine processes. You start with the business. You think that what does digital as a service mean? I mean, is that signature when you onboard a customer, is it really necessary? As simple as that. Or, how do you design processes that actually create intimacy? The second part, which is, I guess, a lot with cloud and, where our attention is about technology itself. How do you create a modern, scalable, cloud-native, technology stack? The next generation OSS, BSS, or how do you have AI, ML embedded in the entire operations? If you look at reset capabilities, so if you get the first two right, then you have building blocks, right, of capabilities, which you can use to actually unlock the power of the ecosystem. You can go and tie up with that education company or healthcare and actually integrate billing systems or propositions, etc. Without the right technology stack, it actually becomes very, very arduous. To focus more on technology, and I start this in many sessions where I have to address on cloud is what is really cloud. The cloud, in my view, is a bouquet of technologies which go from infrastructure all the way to the application layer. It starts with the IaaS. It can be also business as a service. It is cloud-native services as well as advanced AI ML, right? So all these capabilities together allow the realization of the opportunity that we saw today morning and what I've been describing over the past few minutes, right? So if you look at, network slicing, that's going to be very critical because the bandwidth requirement for, say, a robotic surgery is going to be entirely different from a home automation solution. Or if you look at Open RAN, the whole disaggregation between the hardware and the software is really going to be critical in terms of providing the service. Even if it's not about cost and efficiency, it's going to be incredibly important when you actually look at providing the services that you intend doing, right? And I believe, just like this entire value chain is there, telcos probably would have to choose where do they think their strategic advantages. And I think edge is going to be very, very critical to realize some of the use cases we saw. Now, from my team and Accenture standpoint, what I see is we are already in the journey in doing many of these things. So let me give you 3 examples. With a North Canadian telco, we're really creating a next generation consumer proposition, which is really about OTT platform. They're integrating a home automation solution, a surveillance, and also ability to order food while you're watching the movie, right? So these are propositions that are already out there, and telcos are building it. The second is a very good example with an Italian telco and one of the world's largest automotive manufacturer, where we have created a digital twin solution into their production process, real time, that allows them to look at their customer errors and their handling costs, and leads to a huge amount of operational efficiency. And last but not the least, we are working in Asia with building one of the first cloud-native 5G network, along with a microservices-based BSS OSS stack. So it's real, it's happening, and I'm sure when I hear the panel, many of you are already embarked on the journey. If I have to summarize, my keynote, it would probably be 2-3 things as we move towards a cloud operating model. One would be about talent and capabilities. When I said that, telcos have to be about building tech companies, you'll inherit a lot of problems that we have. Where are you going to find the talent to do all this? There's a long queue already awaiting this, right? So I think that along with, just to illustrate the point more, many years back, I used to be working in the financial services industry. And I met a bank in Singapore, and I met the retail banking head. And for that half an hour of conversation, I would not have ever thought that that person was not a technologist. The level of capability that person had was really awesome. And I think that's the challenge in terms of getting a whole business also prepared for this technology evolution. The second thing which we heard is this is going to be about getting into many adjacencies, industries and industry knowledge of, all that we saw as part of 5G use cases. I think the challenge would be to how do you really build that capability. And last, and I think the most important one is, I truly believe you can't do it alone. You probably need ecosystem partners and probably everywhere in terms of the business partnerships and so in terms of system integration. And of course, the hyperscalers, you really need a ecosystem to make it happen. And your strength really would be to orchestrate value through this ecosystem. With that, thank you, and over to the panel.